Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a brand new episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together with input from you, the live audience, and, whatever happens to be in the air that night, I use tables and some an electronic die rolling app to generate I think hadn't been doing this for 130 episodes. I use them to generate some drawing prompts that I don't know what they're going to be before they come up. Take a who, a creature, a character, a thing, and a what, a situation or a job or an action, and I mash them together and I draw it here while we're watching together, just for the fun of it. Let's say it together, just for the fun of it, because drawing is fun. I'm here to promote that. Here to promote the fact that drawing is fun, and I encourage you to draw for yourself. Grab your favorite notebook or sketch pad or just a stack of blank paper. Grab a crayon or a marker or a ballpoint pen or colored pencils or watercolor, whatever you like. And draw along with me. You don't have to draw the same things I'm doing. You don't have to do the same prompts, though, if you have your own take on it, that'd be great. Please do. And or draw whatever you like. Draw your version of a image that's in front of you, a magazine cover or a book cover. My show on Wednesdays, 50 years in the dungeon. Blah. I do art where I'm doing what's called an homage, my interpretation of a piece of art that I like. It saves me from having to think up what to draw. I've got a look at it, and then I just draw it my way. You can do that too. Grab your favorite newspaper comic, or if you still read the newspaper, or comic book, or something you've got lying around, children's book. Just draw some of the characters from that. I'm telling you, you'll find after a while that just the doing of it, just the sitting down and sketching, it's fun. Come on and join me for that. Join in. Be a mensch. Yes, well, all right, so that's what the show is about. I can never really predict how long this intro is going to run, because once I know how I would get started, and then it's off to the races, and what's coming into Stan's brain tonight. And of course, if you are here watching, as I said before, you are invited to come into the live chat. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, then it's pretty certain that I'll be able to see anything you type in the chat. If you're on Twitch, 50-50. If you're watching on LinkedIn, and I know some people are, sorry, but LinkedIn keeps their chat kind of walled off, so it doesn't get sent to me because I'm not on any one of those channels. I'm on all of those channels. I use a service called Restream to multi-stream is what it's called. That's what the people in the industry call it, multi-stream. And so it's sent out live to all these places at the same time. If you're watching on replay over at the YouTube archive, because there is a YouTube archive of all 120, this is I think 127. I said 130 earlier. I think that this is actually episode 127. There is a collection of all but one of the 127 episodes. So if you find this entertaining, there's a lot more of it waiting for you at the YouTube channel. Hello, Michael in chat. Michael says, I have my riverbank coloring pages and colored pencils. All right, so that's a very good segue to let folks know that my friends over at Kobold Press have a coloring contest right now, and it's using one of my drawings. So it's one of the drawings I did for the Wednesday show. Here, let me switch over to the view and show you what I'm talking about. So if we click this button here, we'll come over and we can change the view so we see that in on the Wednesday show, on the 50 Years in the Dungeon show, I did a cartoon homage to the cover of a book, a role-playing game that's just being released by Kobold Press. It's called Riverbank. All one word, Riverbank. Riverbank RPG. And it's a cozy, it's inspired by Wind in the Willows and other kind of cozy anthropomorphic animal stories. Little Beatrix Potter, and mostly Wind in the Willows. And because of the way I draw, I wind up with a clean line drawing. And so my friends at Kobold Press liked my drawing so much that they asked if we could work together. And I created a coloring book, just the line drawing, basically a coloring book version of it. And they have a contest it's just started yesterday. It goes until the 19th of November. So I encourage you to go over to koboldpress.com and check in their blog. There'll be a note about the coloring contest. You can download a version for yourself, and you can print it out or color it electronically, whatever you like, and have your own fun. Michael says he saw on the blog that Kendo, yes, one of the community folks there named Kendo is going to be doing a live coloring session tomorrow on their YouTube channel. So even if you don't want to do it tonight, go check it out. That sounds like fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Hanging out with Kendo, doing some coloring on a drawing by me based on a painting by Kathleen Jennings. So there you go. Now you know. And knowing, as they say, is half the battle. So let's come back here and open up our encounter tables for tonight. These are the encounter tables for tonight's show. Do you need any more? Oh, yes, we need to roll some dice and find out what our first drawing prompt of the evening is going to be. So I'm going to come over here. Why did the dice close out? There we go. And we got some dice. So we're going to roll these dice, these two 10-sided die. And they're going to give us a 2 on the white die and a 2 on the black die. It's very convenient. We come back here and we see the Who, subtitled white. On the white die, 2 is a zombie. And 2 on the black die is Election Day. Oh, good thing that came up because I was going to take it out after this week. It was Election Day here in the U.S. this week. And I like to keep the encounter table somewhat seasonal, so go with what's going on. And sometimes a seasonal topic doesn't come up. Wow, someone from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is getting through. Hi, LinkedIn user. I can't see your name, but this is the first time we've ever gotten a message that's made it in from LinkedIn. So, hey, thanks for watching. Yeah, so Election Day, Zombie Election Day. That's what we've got for our first drawing. So I'm going to turn off the tables. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to make sure I'm set up with my brush the way I like it. I do all the drawing here on an Apple iPad Pro with the app Procreate and an Apple Pencil. I say that because people want to know. They ask me about it a lot. As I say, I encourage you to draw with whatever you like. I like this. This is what I use for my professional work and for my fun drawing most of the time, too. I really like it as a medium. But you don't have to do that. And of course, this is not sponsored. Not sponsored by Apple or Procreate or anyone or anything but me. All right, so we've got ourselves Zombie. Oh, hey, it's Steve Shend. Hi, Steve Shend. Thanks for tuning in, man. They're letting dead people vote. Yeah. That's kind of the joke, right? Someone's got to be saying, "I told you, dead people were voting." All right. So, having put that there, let's see. So, zombie. I like to have kind of rectangular headed zombies because that gives me room to give sallow fins and deep eyes and some kind of expression. And zombies tend to um, shuffle, so I'm going to give them a hunched. It's the word I'm looking for. Posture. Usually, when we draw zombies, we have them saying brains. Maybe we could have the zombie coming up to vote. Gonna have just a ballot box that he's gonna be putting his. And then I guess we'll just have a gnome, I think this is going to be. As Dale Donovan often says when he's here, go gnome or go home. I'm a big gnome proponent, so. I suppose that the zombie could just be saying no brains. It's kind of a comment on our choices in many elections. I don't know how many of the others, and most of the people watching are probably from the U.S. So it was election day where you are. I don't know what was on the ballot. It being what they call an off-year election. I hate that term because the off-year elections are often when the most important stuff happen in terms of your local um, your local life and affecting things that really will matter to you over the years. But um, people tend to just kind of take them off if it's not a presidential election. There's a lot of turnout's much smaller. I think that's a real shame, and it's too late now, right? Election day was Tuesday, but I encourage you all to vote in every election. It's important. It really is important. So he could be saying, no brains. This guy's going to be saying, see? They do let dead people vote. And maybe, and if I was going to do this for a published piece, I think I would try and work this out to a way where this would need to be more than a single panel comic. But if I'd have them check, and the thing would be that all the zombies would be voting for, you know, they've got no brains. All right, that's good enough. Let's do some drawing. That's a good sketch. Michael says, have I ever thought of doing this show at a con? I would love to do this at a con. I think that it would be great. One of my original visions for this, what is that kind of thing where there really is an audience, and we've got a lot more audience interaction. But you need I don't know. It it I don't go to enough shows that I've got a regular place to do it, and like Great Game Hall Con, I would have considered that, but they're very tight on um, on panel space. They don't have that's a show where it's all about playing the games. Almost all the space is devoted to that. There's not a lot of room for panels, and so you've got to get approved, and in order to get approved, they have to believe that there will be an audience for this, and this is an untested premise. I'll be honest, I didn't put it in. I was too far behind, so I don't know. They might have accepted it. Maybe I'll try it next year. All right, why am I doing extra sketching? I'm doing extra sketching like this is going to be a finished drawing. So when I do for this show, the idea for all of us is to do these drawings quickly. Don't worry about getting it 100% right. Just get the idea down. Enjoy the process of the drawing. And there are times where ideas we've come up with on the show, I've wound up making stickers out of them or other uses out of them. But in those cases, I go back and I redo the drawing. It's a fool's errand to try and get a completed, finished, ready to publish drawing done in the 15 or 20 to 30 minutes that I allot for these. This is a quick draw, have some fun sketching medium, this show. You talk about doing this at conventions, and the fact is, there are people that do things like this. Scott Shaw and Sergio Aragonés and Mark Evanier do a show at Comic-Con each year it's just called Quick Draw. They've been doing that for a long time. They are certainly one of the things that has influenced my how I put this show together. Although the real big inspiration for this was a show I used to watch on TV in Japan in the 90s. It was I don't even know what the actual title of it was, because it was in Japanese, and it was not a national show. Very few people I know, uh, even that I knew at the time, knew the show existed. I think it was on the local network, the Shizuoka Prefecture. It was not on the major Asahi TV or NHK. Think thinking about it, I think that it was recorded in the Osaka area, and it was like a syndicated show. But the show uh, was very similar to this, and they had a host who gave an idea. It wasn't random. There was a host who had the topics, but it usually was a setup for a joke. And they had three cartoonists on, two of whom were the same every week, and then one guest cartoonist each week. And they would draw the cartoon um, of what the host gave them. But one of the things is, as you see here, it even just doing a quick drawing is going to take 10 minutes. It's going to take between 5 and 10 minutes. And that doesn't work for TV. So what they would do is they'd start playing, they'd start drawing, and then they would speed it up. It would go into a sped up view with the musical overlay, and when one of them was getting close, it'd pop back in to regular speed. And the cartoonists were talking to each other and making jokes the whole time. And you found that after when they popped back into regular time, they were in the middle of conversations and joking around with each other. And then one by one, they would finish the drawing. In fact, one of them was so fast that he would regularly draw 2 or 3 versions of each drawing they did. Anyway, that was the big inspiration. I saw that on the Japanese TV, and I thought, wow, that'd be a great show. I'd love to do that. And when I came back, I found out that there was this, as I say, this thing that Scott Shaw and company do at Comic-Con each year. And it's terrifically fun. Sergio is super fast and amazingly good. Scott Shaw is also pretty fast. It's usually they have a guest on who has trouble keeping up with them. This is a very particular kind of drawing style. And a lot of artists are, particularly in what's a live performance, they don't want to draw badly. They want to make sure that what they're putting out is good drawings, but there's no time for good drawings in this. This is get it down on paper, and if it's good, go back and redraw it again later. There we go. We've got a lot of chat going on here. Surely you need to go back in back in time a few days and sell an election cartoon. Yeah, well, you know what? Or I need to look at this and put it together, leave a note for myself on my calendar to remember to dig it out again next October and get it ready for next year's election. They just vote a straight party line. I like how this gnome is turning out. It's just a little different than my usual gnomes. Not a lot. All right. This is looking pretty good. Hello, Devious. Thanks for joining in. How did things go in Troy's office hours today? All right. Gonna get some words down here. Michael says they do this in a panel of artists at Three Rivers Con raffle auction for the original. I've seen a bunch of different uh, art related events like that where people create stuff, um, where they have artists creating stuff while folks are watching. There's at the Lovecraft Film Festival. They have they've got a punny name for it, and I don't remember what it is. A Lovecrafty punny name, but they have 2 or 3 artists who are they give them about 2 or 3 hours to do a drawing. They give them a theme, and then they all work on it. You can sit and watch them do it, but they give them a full time and expect them to finish with some kind of thing, something a little more polished than what we do here. All right, let's turn off the sketches and see what we got. That's looking pretty good. Don't want to. Close that up. There we go. My first stab at doing something like this was the last time that I was working as a contractor at Wizards of the Coast, and they had some. That's when they were really starting to explore doing um, video and live stream content, and we did 4 or 5 times, about once a month for about half a year. We did a show called um, Dungeons and Doodles, which was not randomized like this, but we got other artists to come in and join me, and we picked ahead of time. The host Bart and I would pick ahead of time what the topics were, and then we'd do 2 or 3 drawings in an hour, and they were Very fast, very doodly like this, but it was a lot of fun. Um, Unfortunately, Wizards didn't want to keep me around, and they also started being a little more precious about what went on their shows. Um, these did not actually promote anything in particular other than the fun of the event, and so I think the the powers that be were not it really behind. There was no encouragement to do more like this. Although you know what they did do it at this was my show. Like I brought it to them uh, and pushed it. I had to push it several times before they even let it get its first time on. Again, because it's the kind of thing that if no one's doing anything like that, you don't really understand why it might be good. So we did it, and it was pretty popular, I think. They wound up doing it at one of their live events, but didn't invite me and didn't mention me at all. There aren't a lot of times when I'm put out by not getting credit or not being invited to participate in something. But I was a little put out that this thing that I created was being used at a convention as an event. It wasn't really a convention. It was a live. That was when they did their big live release events and live streams. And yeah, I didn't get invited to participate, and I didn't get mentioned at all. And I was a little put out by that. But by that point, I was no longer on contract. I wasn't working with them, and I don't think even Bart was involved in it directly. So, what you gonna do? But you know what the thing was? The people putting it on didn't really understand, and they gave a really difficult thing for the artist to draw, and then they didn't supervise them or encourage them to do it quickly so they could do another, and it really didn't have the charm. It didn't have the charm that my version did. They never did it again after that, and I'm sure they thought, well, it must have been a dumb idea. But really, it was a bad execution. I'm gonna say it's a bad execution. Hello, David Shepard. I think it's a shame that a lot of people who used to be on the D&D YouTube channel aren't on it anymore. Yeah, well, I think so too. But, D&D is a very specific thing, and if you are not in the Hasbro world, you're not going to get invited to be part of the projects. And, fair enough, right? D&D is a very specific thing, and marketing D&D is a very specific thing, and the needs of a large company like Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are very specific. But the thing is that the fans. I think the sad thing is that the fans are the ones that lose out on a bunch of things that the fans would like don't happen because they don't fulfill the needs of the company. and say it's understandable, but it is unfortunate. Let's see. Should I give this gnome some interesting colored hair? Just some highlights. And then what we need to have the words on the side of the ballot box. There we go. And I think that we need a little bit of shadow. There we go, looking all right. We have ourselves. We have ourselves a zombie on election day. Zombie voting booth, or whatever the actual dice thing, the prompt came up as. And I'm going to come back here and put a little stand in the corner. And we are done. We've got ourselves zombie election day, I think is what it was. Boo-doo, boop, boo-doo, doo, boop. Let's see. Todd Kenrick is doing well for himself. Yeah, WotC managers seem to look at things and want instant results. If they don't get them, the show is gone. The audience. Yeah, well, you know what? There's a lot. There's a lot of. We talked about this before, right? Part of the problem of being a company that large is it requires ridiculous measurements. It requires, if you're a publicly traded company, then you've got to make Wall Street happy, and everything focuses into this weird short-term thinking, and that gets applied down the line. And the problem is that, I can say as someone who was a manager there, that it doesn't, the managers who are at the strategic level, at the implementation level, they understand what should be done, but they get their orders just like they have to give their orders to the people that are creating the products, and the people that are doing the online, what goes on to the D&D channel, what shows they're doing, get their orders from people who are getting their orders, and in the end, it's all pushing down from that large company thinking. And again, like I say, the people that lose out most are the fans who find these things that they like. Something gets tried out, but it doesn't meet, as you say there, David, it doesn't meet the short-term needs, and so they try something else to try and to goose the reactions. Like a long, steady reaction is not good. They need peaks. They need peaks. Oh well. Let's see. All these miscellaneous colored pencils have labeled red, and none of them is. Yeah. Well, you know what? What's the funny thing with if you have art material produced by different companies, then particularly the basic colors, they're just not going to look the same. And each company is going to have their own uh, term for the different variations of that. So yeah, you can get 6 or 8 different red pencils, and they will be 6 or 8 different shades. It's kind of maddening, really. David says, "I'm glad the manager of the Stan YouTube channel appreciates the show's on." Yeah, well, if he didn't, he'd make some changes real dang fast. All right, let's let's come here and turn off round one. Turn on round two. Turn back on the encounter tables. Have one more quick little sip, and then we'll do a second round. We started with Zombie on Election Day. That was our first drawing. Let's go back to the dice and see what we get for our second drawing this week. So we will come over here and look, and we're going to roll those dice. Roll the dice. And let them stop and see that we get... No, do it again, because I saw... Okay, an 8 and a 4. An 8 and a 4. That is a Treant and a New York Times Crossword. Okay. All right, a Treant. Treant, New York Times Crossword. So we will turn that off. We'll come back here, make sure we've got the right colored brush for drawing, and Treant, New York Times Crossword. So whenever I draw a Treant, I also draw a squirrel. I say that just so you know. So there's going to be a squirrel in here somewhere. Trying to think of a good crossword clue joke for the Treant to be puzzling over. What do you think? Something about dead trees? Here's what I'm thinking. I need a clue where the answer is acorn. An obvious clue. It's like, and we can have the squirrel here holding up an acorn and pointing to it. So I can get that visual down here quite easily. What that clue is going to be, So it's a 5-letter word for... All right, so it's going to be saying, let's see. A 5-letter word for blank. I need the blank. You guys start thinking about that. I'm going to let it percolate while I do the drawing. Or, I mean, if you guys can come up with, I can replace that that acorn pretty easily with something else if we come up with a better thing for the clue. I'd like to give the Treants kind of almost bony stick-like fingers. But we've got ourselves a treant here, and I want a table. It's not the right angle. Go. I suppose other jokes that are possible out of this, the treant doing the puzzle in pen as opposed to pencil. There's some kind of joke in that. I don't know what it would be. It's not not an obvious one, but there's something there. Looks a little bit like the Tin Woodsman way of drawing them here. Five-letter clue begins with A. Inspired Newton. Isn't that an apple, though? I mean, if the joke is that the squirrels got it wrong. I mean, am I wrong about that? I thought that usually when people talk about what fell on Newton's head, they say it was an apple. So I want these to run longer, but I need to make it look like it's a single line. I need to get them to line up well. There we go. Okay, what do we got here? Change the squirrel for a monkey. I could have monkey puzzle Treant. Same joke. Me apple, you acorn. Uh, um, it was allegedly an apple. Yeah. No, I mean that's the. I mean that there's a funny gag in that in getting it wrong. But the problem right now is that if unless it's phrased well, it seems like I don't know it, not that the squirrel doesn't know it. All right, so let's see. We can get this started. Let's see. A 5-letter word for mama 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 mama. Well, we're almost at the point where we need to figure this out. I can color this as we think about it a little more with a 5-letter word for um, for baby oak. I'm going to put that in. I'm not sure that we'll keep it, but it will let me. Will let me get started on this. So let's grab that text and move it over a little. All right, if I turn off the sketch layer, we look at this and see that, let's see, what do we need to do? We need to darken these eyes a little bit. Clean up that mouth a little bit. Other than that, though, No, that everything else is looking so clean. That side of the acorn is not looking clean. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm loving baby oak, but it certainly sells the concept. All right, let's color this in, and then I'm gonna look up and see what you guys have said a little more. Whoa! No, I meant blue. I meant green, not blue. Green. We want a kind of bluish gray for the paper. Maybe a red coffee cup? Why not? Get that table in before I do too much else around it. One more shade darker. See what I do with these where I'm coloring the table or something like that. I'll take a shade, a light shade of it, and then a slightly darker and a slightly darker, and that helps to get the whole thing uh, looking right. All right. You know what? I usually do gray squirrels. Let's do a red squirrel this time. I grew up in the Northeast where most of the squirrels were gray. In fact, I don't remember seeing red squirrels at all growing up. But out here in the Pacific Northwest, or out here in the west part of the country, it's true when I was down in California too, many more red squirrels than gray squirrels. And in fact, I found it strange. I kept running into people who would get excited when they saw a gray squirrel. And for me, that was always the most plain. Yeah, it's a gray squirrel. It's a squirrel. I mean, chill out. All right. Okay. Well, maybe we'll just go with this. What do you think? Let's see what we got. What do we got here? 5 letter begins with A. Actually, oh, Chris likes Baby Oak. Okay. I can't think of a crossword this nuts. This crossword is nuts. A lot of black squirrels. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, there are black squirrels too. All right. Well, let's see. 5 letter word for baby oak. I think as a quick cartoon, I think we're done here. I don't think I could sell this cartoon to anyone. But that's not the point. That's not the point. Sometimes I struggle too hard to make these sing when the point is to just kind of do a quick drawing and have the fun of drawing. Like I say at the beginning, I mean it. I mean it, but I can't make myself live that way. I can't live up to my own expectations. I'm sorry. All right, so there we go. We've got ourselves a Treant doing the New York Times crossword puzzle. I'm not sure I can see Will Shortz putting Baby Oak in as a clue, but I'm sure he'll forgive me. Beep, 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 beep. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I talked about the coloring contest. Guess I'll bring that up here again. Go to koboldpress.com. Check out the coloring contests for Riverbank using my cartoon, my coloring book page interpretation of the cover for the new Riverbank RPG, which is available now from Kobold Press. KoboldPress.com. That's KoboldPress.com. Yeah, not really a lot else. I'm looking around my desk to see if there's something that I have around that I should be showing and telling you about, but I don't. I don't. Oh, you know what? I mentioned this on the other show. I guess maybe I should here. There are now 2 adventures published by my good buddy Bill Slabasek that are available at Drive-Thru RPG. These are adventures that he designed for some European conventions a few years back. He retained the rights, and now he's publishing them in English. And he asked me to do all of the art for them. And you can buy them digitally, or you can buy them in a print edition. If you go to drivethrurpg.com and look it up. Here, I'll even put it up close. We've got Slavicek, Slavicek. It's a bear to spell, but it's worth it. For the Stan art. No, the adventures are really good. I read them. What else? Oh, speaking of Kobold Press, they have recently put out an art book. It's not a lot. It's not very high print run. Not a whole lot of them are out there. It's a little expensive. It's a coffee table art book that covers the first 20 years. I think that they're having their 20th anniversary. But whatever. It's art from the beginning of Kobold, which started off uh, as what was the name of them? Uh, anyway, I'm not going to remember that off the top of my head. But back when they were just beginning to do this patronage model, and Kobold Quarterly was coming out and covering all the way up. And so I've been told, I've not seen a copy of the book yet, but I've been told that there are some pieces of my art in it. And Kobold presses really lovely art in their products. But I'm told that there may be some of the cartoons I did for the Kobold Quarterly magazine. I had 2 cartoons in every issue, and I did some illustrations for articles occasionally too. Um, uh, there was a Bolt and Quiver, which is a cartoon that I started in Dungeon magazine back in the day, and also a single panel cartoon called the 10 foot by 10 foot Toon. Um, and yeah, there was one of each of those in every issue of Kobold Quarterly. So I'm told that some of those are in it, and some of the art from the recently released Necromancer card game, which is all my art. But some of that made it into the book too, I'm told. Again, I haven't seen. I can't swear, but you may want to check that out. In fact, I think like I say, the book is going to be filled with gorgeous, gorgeous art from the entire history of Kobold Press, from their start as a little zine to their current loft in the middle of the RPG industry. So there you go. Check that out. All that out over at koboldpress.com. And again, the coloring contest is going on until the 19th of this month. All right. Let's come back here, and I will turn off round 2, turn on round 3, turn back on our tables, get that all set up, have one more sip, and then we'll do a final drawing and bring it on home for the weekend. We had a Treant doing the New York Times crossword puzzle. That was our second drawing. Our first was a zombie on Election Day. Let's go to the dice and see what we get for our third drawing of the evening. Come back here and we'll switch over, and we're going to have ourselves a little rolling dice. Rolling, and stop. And we got a 4 and a 1, which takes us to a Bullywug Raking Leaves. Bullywug Raking Leaves. Okay. So I'll turn off that and turn back on this. Let's see. Michael says, "Did I read the adventure to create the art, or did he give me a separate art order?" No. In fact, he gave me the adventures and gave me. I mean, he had to approve it, but he gave me full reign to read it and space out the art, because and we both have done this long enough. He knows that I know, reading it, about how much art is going to be needed across it, on which pages, and roughly what's going to be going on around that time. So he sent me they're 32-page adventures if you print them in regular printer, 8.5 by 11 paper. Just printing them out. I think they were 22 pages just as a document. So I read it, and I got to pick what the illustrations were. Let's see. So Bullywug is frog-like bipedal creature. going to be raking leaves. This is already too big for the sheet of paper, so let's shrink that down a little. It's going to be raking leaves. Right now, I don't know that I've got anything particularly funny about this, except that it's a Bullywug raking leaves. I think I'm going to give him a scarf. I guess what you were saying there, Michael, maybe we could have a little one jumping into a pile of leaves. I guess, so what I need to do to make that work, so right now I've got him raking the leaves this way. So if he's raking them, the pile's got to be over here. Right now there's no room on the drawing for that. So what do I do? What do you do? Well, and it's one of the things in drawings, in sketching and doodling. You come up, you do a little sketch, and then you realize that, well, in order for this to work on the page, it needs to be somehow different. So we're going to change this there. All right, so I'm going to change that. We're going to move him to the other side of the screen. Let's get rid of those. And what I need here is, so we're going to come down here and we're going to have him raking. And it's going to be those going into a pile of leaves. Now, move that over here. And we can have the pile of leaves, and we can have a little one jumping into those legs aren't going to work. Those legs are going to have to change. Alright, so we're going to have a little guy, big eyes, big smile. Hands over the head. Maybe that's, so I've got him leaping with both legs forward, so that's not going to work. But if we have him leaping like this, and the father Bullywug can be distraught. going to give them long tongues. Both of them. And then a pile of leaves. There we go. That's looking good. Yeah, I guess I see Mike saying. I guess baby bullywugs would be tadpoles. I guess they would be, but so this guy's clearly not a baby. He's a teenager. He's got to be old enough to get in trouble. Ooh, had a sudden light change there. All right. You kids are making me very unhappy. Oh dear. Okay. Let's go to the lines layer and do some sketching on that, shall we? I think we'll start with the unhappy grown up. All right, now I'm going to take advantage again of the fact that I'm doing this digitally and just not worry about the fact that that rake is going to come right through the middle of this. Ooh, wrong brush. There we go. Now I guess now I'm going to worry about the rake handle. Again, one of the beauties of drawing digitally is I can put these lines in and not really have to worry about them because they come out easily and completely. I'm just looking at this and thinking, like, kind of like some of the other drawings we've done, it's so hard to tell a difference between just a, um, you know, it's a frog. Is this a bullywug? Well, it's a frog. It doesn't really matter. What's the one I did recently that had that same problem? It was purposely intended to be a D&D creature, but uh, anyone looking at it is just going to think, oh, it's the normal, real world creature. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in so many senses, but doesn't matter what the thing I can't remember right now is. The story's the same anyway. It doesn't matter that anyone looking at this might say, "Oh, you drew a frog." Okay, fine. that's what that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Okay, we're gonna finish this up here. It was a Cthulhu fancy dress costume. People thought he was an illithid. That certainly came through too. I'm thinking it might have been either an elephant folk. It was something I wrote in a something folk, and in the end, it just looks like that. It's not a folk at all. It's just an anthropomorphic elephant or whatever it was. All right, so here we go. Guessing the tongue has got to come in front of the arm. Make sure we give them webbed fingers. So we got the feet to be webbed feet. Here we go. Yeah, this is cracking me up. So, good sign. I always take it as a good sign when I make myself laugh. And if I don't make myself laugh, I guess I'm not gonna make anyone laugh. There we go. Shouting. First, I was gonna have him say "cowabunga." I think it's funnier in my head if he's shouting "frogabunga." All right, let's turn the sketch lines off. These drawings came out a little more polished than I needed or necessarily intended. I like how both the characters came out very much. Frogabunga. The father is looking in the wrong place. It's one of the problems with starting like that without doing a fully detailed sketch is the eye lines don't line up. Like that, the frog father originally was looking kind of in that direction, which is too high. He's got to be looking over there. Okay, let's go to the colors. Let's do some colors, and we can wrap this lily pad up. You may have noticed recently, or I have noticed recently, I've stopped necessarily talking about the coloring style. I spent 3 years mentioning it every time. Um, but uh, uh, it strikes me that I should remember to to say that I do this coloring style, which I call the shape within the shape, to help create the feeling that these have a little extra three dimensionality. So rather than fill the space completely, I'm looking at the internal shapes. Like in that hand, each of the fingers had a thing, and each of the parts of the palm had its own thing. And by doing that and just leaving a little extra, making sure that it's done purposely, right? These are defining shapes within the character. Um, it adds as I said before, a little extra bit of three dimensionality and texture, and it gives a real sense of purposefulness, and it changes how your audience will look at what you've drawn, what you're showing. All right, we want the underside of the foot to be darker. but I want the belly and such to be lighter. The belly and the webbing of the hands and feet. And then I think we'll go for some brown spots. Why not? We're going to have a light brown for the rake's pole. Different brown. It's not different enough. Different brown for the tines. I don't know, do you call those tines on a rake? On a fork, they would definitely be tines. And then, okay, so this is what I did for the what's the word I'm looking for? The thumbnail, the promo thumbnail for this, for a couple of weeks ago. The way I colored the leaves, you want to have a bunch of leaves, bunch of different colored leaves, but you put yellow in as a flat color. You can then add little splashes of orange and red, maybe even a brighter yellow or brown to go along with it. And that'll give that feeling of a pile of multicolored leaves. But most of it is just yellow. Here we go. Looking pretty good. One of the things I did, and I can't do it here cleanly because I put those colors all on one layer. I use multiple layers when I do my coloring, but you can put shading in to get the shape of the leaf pile and make it feel a little less flat. And then lay the colored leaves still just on top of it. Leafabunga! Frogabunga! Open-toed shoes. Oh my God. Chris, you know what? You're trying too hard, man. You're trying too hard. No, you're not. That's pretty funny. All right, if we come back to the sketch layer, Frogabunga. Let's make sure we do this in big, thick letters to show that he's really yelling. And then we'll come down here to the bottom, put a little stand in the corner because this feels like it's done. There we go. Maybe a little shading. Maybe a little shading. I'm looking at this. The frog, the bullywugs look a little flat. So let's come in here and grab just a slightly darker shade of that. Slightly darker than that. But not a lot. And do the same thing with the main body color. A little darker than that. There we go. That's enough. That sells it. We've got ourselves Bullywug Raking Leaves. Bullywug Raking Leaves. You're so totally cleaning this up. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. You're saying that. Yeah. 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 I get you. I get you. There we go. We've got ourselves Bullywug Raking Leaves. Well, folks, it's been a fun Thursday evening, but I think I'm going to have one more sip of my drink and then do an outro. And I mean, the weekend doesn't start. I'm going to be working a lot this weekend, but I will be back tomorrow evening on the Sumo Show channel to do a live stream for the upcoming sumo tournament, which kicks off this weekend. So if that's your kind of bag, check us out, sumoshow.com. All right, here we go. We've got ourselves Bullywugs Raking Leaves. That was our third prompt this week. Our second prompt had been a Treant doing the New York Times crossword puzzle. And we started off with Zombie on Election Day. Those were our three prompts. Those are our three drawings. That was our show for tonight. We had a lot of fun. I know I did. I know Chris Andrew and David Shepard and Michael in chat were all hanging out here. We were having a good time. I know we had about 10 other people watching us live. Oh, Steve Shend popped in and said hi for a bit. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. If you like what's going on here and you want to show some support, get behind-the-scenes access and some nice little Stan-themed uh, goodie showing up in your email every once in a while, maybe you want to join my Patreon. You want to check it out at least. There's a free level. You can get that. Patreon.com/Stanex. STANNEX. I'm in the tail end of this year and next year. I think I'm going to try and find ways to maybe push this a little more. Uh, it it would do me a world of good if I could find a way to get more people who are enjoying the stuff I'm doing to be active participants. And because the more people do it, you know how I say many hands make light work. I'm not looking for people to come in and be my sugar daddy. I don't want a sugar daddy or sugar mama. But you know, a lot of people putting in a few bits, just be low membership, paying less than you're paying for Netflix, and that would be very helpful in setting my ship where I can sail more in this direction, do more live streams, do more drawing, more cool stuff like this that is not aimed at paying the rent. The rent does have to get paid. All right, but so check it out. Like I say, there's a free level. Go check out the free level. And if you are in a position where it makes sense and you want to be part of the Cool Kids Club, then you can join the paid levels. But patreon.com/Stanex. Give it a look. Yeah. I guess one more time I'll say check out the Kobold Press coloring contest, which is on now at koboldpress.com. It features a drawing that one of my drawings based on the cover for the new Riverbank RPG they've got, and if you color that in and send it in, you could win yourself a very nice prize from the fine folks at Kobold Press. So go check that out. All right, well then, that's it for me. Thank you all again for coming by. So good to see you. So good to hang out. I'll be back tomorrow for sumo, but next week with more improv cartooning on a brand new episode of Random Encounters. Until then, take care.